gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Do I know what's going to happen? No, I'll guess. But
We win one tomorrow. That's called a winning streak.
Alright, I'm not a fucking athlete. This is my fucking way. This is how I win.
Adapt or die.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the A+ Sports League podcast, Golf Edition. We've got the 2021 AT&T Open at Pebble Beach. I'm your host, Matty Maitai. With me, as always, is Chris O'Neill. What's happening, Chris?
What's happening, Matt? That was a hell of a tournament this weekend. I know that we had a ton of fun on Sunday. Well, you did. I know that.
Oh, yeah. Brooks Koepka, 45-1. We called it here on the podcast. Hopefully you got the bet in because it was a nice weekend for me leading into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we were talking that up the entire podcast last week about just how much fun the end of that course is. That 5 or 6 hole stretch from 13 all the way through 18. You got 2 gettable par 5s. You got island greens. You have a reachable par 4. You get the stadium. And just that whole sequence down the end was awesome. And you got to watch 2 guys absolutely dunk it, shit their pants on 17.
Well, I think the fun thing about the end of that course is guys can go super low and get eagles and birdies, or they can put it in the water and go, double bogey. So it's very drastic.
Yeah, that back 9 was amazing. You had Hans start the back 9 with a 3-shot lead, even though he started 3 shots back. You had Xander just deciding he didn't want to go under par on the day, and Brooks Koepka, it was his for the taking. It was fantastic television. It's fun to watch, especially in the lead into the Super Bowl, because I watched no pregame stuff for the Super Bowl.
Oh, me neither. It's funny because Xander is starting to feel like Rory to me, just like constantly living in that 2nd to 5th range and just gagging it away on Sundays. Like Rory has won more than Xander for sure, but it's just like, yeah, I got the lead, but I can't hold on to it.
I don't know if it's a gagging away with him. Like Tony Finau will gag it away. Like I'm putting them in the same category. When I look at Xander, I look at what he did at the Farmers the week before, where he just backdoored his way into a top 2.
Well, he didn't do it this week though. He had the lead going.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. This is the exception.
Oh.
Right? We usually see stuff like this out of a Tony Finau that has a 54-hole lead, and on Sunday is just not making the shots that he's typically made. It's made all weekend. So,
for some reason, I always think about Xander at the Century Tournament of Champions where he gagged it away.
Oh, he 3-putted 18.
That's the one I always just have in my mind because I remember Patrick Reed, him and JT were in the playoffs. So
okay, all right, you might have a point. In
either event, he didn't come away with the win, and it was all Brooks Koepka at the end, going birdie eagle, I believe, to really close it out on a strong note. And it was a good win for the podcast. Speaking of wins, let's jump to last week's picks from us. We had an outright top 10 sleeper, top 10 to fade, 7K golfer, 6K golfer. Chris, how'd yours do?
Oh, thanks, Matt, for starting this one off with Daniel Berger shitting his pants. Guy couldn't hit an iron the entire weekend. He was in the featured group, and I like that because you get to see some of the action on Thursday and Friday with these guys. And I was pumped. Berger had the par 5 third. He had the shot out of the rough, stuck the green, had an eagle opportunity, missed it. Canned his birdie, but you could just tell like he didn't have that killer instinct. He wasn't making the rest of his shots. He was missing greens. He wasn't making putts and just wasn't scoring under par. And then he was hanging on. He was at 4 under going into the last 4 holes. Backed up, bogey, missed the cut.
Definitely hurt our one and done chances.
Yeah, struck out on the outright. I know you and I were both on Berger.
Yep. I had Rory T13 as my outright. He just did okay. He kind of was just lingering. He really backdoored that. He was mostly in the 30s.
I had Xander as a top 10, which I thought was free money.
Free play.
It was, yep.
Yeah. I had Webb Simpson as a top 10. He was not free money. T42. He just didn't seem to get it going. He struggled from Thursday and never really was in contention.
My sleeper was Brandon Steele. Shot well, pretty good numbers with the irons. I kept using him a little bit in the round scoring, and in some of the showdown lineups. Steele T30 out of a sleeper. I guess that's kind of what you want.
That's good. I mean, he was at least relevant, and he had a good weekend. I had Benny on as my sleeper T53. He actually started out hot and then just kind of faded on the weekend. He couldn't really do much, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, my top 10 that I thought was going to finish outside of the top 10 was Rory. You got a T13, so I hit on that, and you absolutely nailed Harris English with the miscut.
Miscut. He +7 2 weeks ago, but he was like +2, I think, on the first day here.
Yeah, he's got to get his form back sometime soon. All right, my 7K golfers and 6K golfers, I had Benny Ann and Harold Varner. Ann was a T53, so he made the cut, which was great, and then Harold Varner came through for me.
T13.
Yeah, T13 is my 6K guy.
That was nice. I had Corey Connors, my 7K golfer. He came T17. That was a nice one. I know he was chalky, but he just fit the course well. I had Doc Redmond as my 6K golfer. He missed the cut, unfortunately. So what can you do? Decent week on those picks. Not too bad. We didn't get an outright, but, I think we found some good diamonds in the rough there.
Yeah, Bird tanked a lot of my DraftKings lineups, but I think a lot of people were hurting from that. And
22% owned.
But golf Twitter, a lot of people made it up with that Brooks. When we saw the Brooks number came out, that was the first thing that I texted you immediately. Brooks at 50-1 is automatic.
It just seemed like a crazy ass number for someone who has won multiple majors. He's won at that course before, and a course that has good course history. It just, I don't know why you wouldn't play him, and he really just took charge on Sunday, which you haven't seen from him in a long time. So that was nice.
It's great. He's got a little emotional after the victory too.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time he won? It was the U.S. Open, I think, like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. It's been a while.
Yeah, good for him. Let's jump into Pebble. We ready to go on this?
Yeah, let's go to Pebble. We are at the Monterey Peninsula in California this week at Pebble Beach Golf Course, and this is normally a 3-course rotation with amateurs and pros playing together, but there are no amateurs this year because of COVID, so it is now a 2-course rotation between Pebble Beach and Spyglass Hill. It is a par 72 that is 7,050 yards. It is the shortest, I believe, or second shortest course on tour, and par 72, it's not even that difficult. So it's going to be a lot of low scoring here. Usually it's in the -20 range. I believe Nick Taylor won it last year at -26. So it's crazy scoring. It's coastal. It's right on the course. You can hit your ball right off the cliffs into the ocean if you feel like it. It's normally windy, but it should play decent this weekend. We have POA greens here. They play pretty fast. Fairways are wide, but they're short, so it's people shouldn't have a hard time staying on the fairway and on the greens.
Yeah, it's going to have smaller greens. It's a shot maker's course. It's going to have controlled drives off of the tee boxes. You can't just go and bomb this because of the cliffs, because of some of the areas, the hazards that you're going to have there. Smaller greens is going to highlight good approach guys. People are going to be approaching from 100 to 125 and 125 to 150 pretty much all weekend. So you want people that can kind of get up and down from there, make a lot of birdies, can roll a lot of good putts on POA. This POA is going to be running very, very fast. It's one of the trickier greens. And I think now, because they got the amateurs off the course, they're going to come up with some more challenging pin locations. I don't know if it's going to get to the mid-20s like it's done in the past, maybe low 20s, maybe high teens. So that's the range that I think we're going to get with these golfers. As far as course discrepancy between Spyglass and Pebble, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot. The layouts are pretty similar. The only thing that's going to possibly change is if it gets a little windy over the weekend. You're going to want people that are playing Spyglass because Pebble's right there. It's right on the cliffs on the ocean. Spyglass is a little bit more inland. It's going to be protected a little bit from the conditions, kind of like that north course, south course that we talked about at Torrey Pines, but not as dramatic. Because Spyglass won't play easier than Pebble on a typical day, and Pebble won't play easier than Spyglass outside of the weather.
Yeah, so they're going to do the rotation for the first 2 days, Thursday, Friday, switch between the two, and then Saturday and Sunday will both be at Pebble Beach. We will have Shot Tracker for 3 of those rounds. All the Pebble Beach rounds, Spyglass does not have Shot Tracker. So a little tough when it comes to shot gain data in the history of this course, but I think we will find some good numbers. So let's jump right in.
The types of golfers that you're going to see winning these events are going to be the Phil Mickelsons, the Jason Days, the Kevin Streelmans, and Jordan Spieths of the world. So
DJ is really the only outlier here.
Pretty much. And as of this recording, DJ has withdrawn.
He has.
He's out. The DraftKings pricing isn't going to adjust. I think we had this issue a few weeks ago when Rahm, as the number one DraftKings guy, dropped out of the tournament. So that's not going to adjust. We're going to be basing a lot of our pricing on that. But Matt was able to jump onto some of the odds on the guys in the mid-range before they wound up tanking.
Oh, yeah. As soon as DJ, he dropped out. I immediately went to my book, and there were still some good numbers there. I got Francesco Molinari at 32-1, Ricky Fowler 54-1, and Peter Malnati, who is one of my favorites this week, 80-1. Chris, I'm really happy about that one. So, and they've all come down since, and now it's not even on the book. The book is taking it down, so they're adjusting. But all right, let's just jump into the golfers, Chris.
All right, awesome. So let's look at the top of the leaderboard. So, like we said, Dustin Johnson's out. That only leaves 3 guys in the 10K and above range, and that's going to be Patrick Cantlay, Paul Casey, and Daniel Berger. I know right off the bat, he burned us last weekend, but we've had this track record of being a week early on a guy. It happened with Abraham Answer early this year. I believe it happened with, who was the other one? Was it Webb?
It might have been Webb.
There was somebody else we were a week early on. I feel like we might be a week early on Daniel Berger here. I like Daniel Berger in this range. He's at 10-1. He's number 1 in strokes gained total in this field. I think that you're going to get incredible value on him over a guy like Cantlay, who just suddenly skyrocketed to being one of the favorites in the field, who's at 11-3. Daniel Berger got the weekend to get himself right, got back out to California. I think Daniel Berger is the play out of the guys above 10K here.
I really like Daniel Berger, too, with you, Chris. Miscuts don't scare me anymore. I bet Koepka last week, he went miscut, win. So the miscut doesn't really bother me, and I think, like you said, he just wasn't feeling it last week, and he came 5th here last year. So, he has good course history, and before last week, he was playing well. I think Patrick Cantlay kind of fits the course really well. I know, as you were saying, he kind of jumps right up, but he's just a good approach player. Paul Casey, good course history, but I don't know, he's coming from Saudi right now, so.
Yeah, but he had a win while he was over there.
He did. He won on the European Tour.
This is a course that he traditionally plays pretty well at. He is a shot maker. He is a pretty good irons guy. POA is his worst putting surface, but let's see how he's done at the AT&T in the past. He came in second 2 years ago, 64th last year, and he had an 8th place finish a couple of years before that. So this could be a Paul Casey course, kind of like the Valspar, where he goes out and wins it every single year.
Yeah, I think all 3 guys are good here. It's really pick your poison. It's like, who do you like the most? I think you can't really go wrong with any of them. Now that TJ's gone, it's a little easier to build your lineups. Cantlay's just 1,000 more than the other 2, so that might be a little more difficult.
I can see a lot of lineups starting with the Casey Berger combo here and trying to fade Cantlay, but we tried to do that at the Amex and came in T2. So, can't really go wrong at the top there.
No, you can't.
Let's look at the 9,000s.
Yeah, let's go to the 9,000s. Right below that, Will Zalatoris, guy I really, really like. He's a short list for my betting card. My book is down, but when it's back up, I'm going to really look into him because he is outside of Dustin Johnson, number 1 shot gain approach over the last 24 rounds, which means he is now number 1 in the field because DJ is out. I just think, Zalatoris has been playing great. I think a lot of people were on him last week, and again, that's just a week too early. I didn't think in a field where there's JT, Rory, Brooks, Xander, he can compete. But in a field like this where it's Cantlay, Casey, Berger, Zalatoris can compete with those guys. So
absolutely.
I really like him.
Yeah, there's a guy here that I think has priced himself out. We didn't get a chance to talk about Jordan Spieth last weekend.
We kind of skimmed over.
Right now, he's going to be the 5th highest priced golfer in the field. And what we saw out of Jordan Spieth on Saturday was awesome. I was getting excited watching it. He was just making birdie after birdie after birdie and canning these long putts. He was dog shit off the tee every single time, but he was sticking his approaches. He was getting it done with ball striking and giving himself opportunities to roll those birdie putts in. So it was kind of he was playing to his strengths. He was canning putts. But outside of that, the ball striking, it was an outlier for Jordan Spieth. So I was saw a couple of names talking on Saturday night, absolutely fading Jordan on Sunday. They knew it. They knew that what he was doing was unsustainable. His game hasn't come around yet to being an elite guy. I don't know if I like him as a 5th prize golfer in the field. A lot of people were off of him on Sunday correctly. What do we make of this?
Well, they were incorrectly probably for the first 3 days. But, yeah, Spieth went -10 on Saturday. He looked amazing. And, it's going to be interesting this week because this is a course that he's won before. He has great course history, and it fits his strengths. His off-the-tee game doesn't really matter here. So it is interesting to see. I'm not going to pay up for him just because $9,700 for Spieth. He was $6,700 a couple of weeks ago. So I just can't stomach paying that price. But I think he will garner a decent amount of ownership.
Yeah, he's won here. Last year, he was 9th place, one of his best finishes in 2020. And he has 2 other top 10s previously, and it hasn't finished only finished outside of the top 22 once here. So he's good. Great course history guy.
Yeah, it is. And leading into that, the guy right below him is Jason Day, who is another great course history guy, also playing pretty poorly. He missed the cut the last 2 times, but I think I'm going to go back to him just because off the course history. I know I'm not going back to Spieth off course history, but Day I will, so it's a little hypocritical. But, I mean, his last 4 trips out here, he has 4 top 5s. It's just, or 4 top 6s, I think. So he has great course history, and he lost 5 strokes putting last week, which is not Jason Day.
No.
So if he gets the putting back, he's going to be competing, and this is a weak field.
Yeah, and it's POA. This is his surface, so I think he'll do well. Something that we're starting to get over, I know that might be taking me a little bit longer than you, is if we're on somebody to win or on somebody to do well the week before, and then they miss the cut, going back to him the next week, it's a little harder for the average bettor. So I'm getting better about going after the burgers or the days, the weeks after they don't play as well as we thought, because, I mean, this is a guy that you thought was going to win a tournament a week ago, right? Nothing really changed outside of an injury, right? They can just have these off weeks. And with Jason Day, also outlier, right? He's not going to lose 5 strokes putting this week, guaranteed. Jason Day is a guy that I could be playing a little bit at the 9,500.
Who else you like here, Chris?
I like, obviously, Molinari. I'm going to let you talk about him because I know you've been pumped about him for the last couple of weeks. I like Cam Davis here. He's usually my guy, but I think 9,000's a little bit too much for him.
In this field, I don't think it's crazy. I mean, a little high, but I think he'd be in the high 8s instead. I mean, it drops off pretty quick from after him.
Okay. Outside of that, I don't love a ton of the guys in the 9s. So I'll let you talk a little bit about your guys. I know you have starred right here.
Yeah, so I like Francesco Molinari. I've been on him the last few weeks. I bet him outright at 110-1 at the Amex, and he came in 8th. So I'm still been watching his form. He's been playing really well, and I mean 32-1 short. You wouldn't think a couple weeks ago he'd be up this high, but he's really been crushing it with the irons. He's never played this course before, so that's interesting because I don't know how he's going to handle the greens. POA is typically not his best surface, but he might really enjoy it. He's never been here, and he's a Cali guy now. So I really like him, and I bet Fowler just on the fact that Ricky's game has been getting better, and he's a class player when it comes to this field. He hasn't played here since 2015, I believe. Yeah, 2012. He missed the cut in 2012, and he played it in 2010. And came top 27. So this is another guy who hasn't seen the course in almost a decade. So I'm going to take recent form and just upside pedigree, guys that can win big events. Those are the 2 I really like here.
Okay, great. I can get behind the Molinari one. I'm still fading Ricky Fowler. I don't feel a comeback here. I think maybe I'll be on Day. Maybe I'll be on Molinari, but I see a little bit more value down here in the 8K range.
It's funny, all these 9K guys, they're the same golfer. Hey, we're shit off the tee, but we can all chip and putt. It's just funny.
Yeah, except for Zelters. He's the outlier up there at 99. All right, we'll jump into the 8Ks. Leading the way is a guy that I really like this week. I was on him last week a little bit. Fantastic ball striker, has good course history here. Kevin Streelman is leading the way at 8,900. He's going to be my guy in this range. He's played well, like I said, in the past at AT&T. Let's see, how did he do? Tied 2nd last year, 7th the year before, 6th the year before that, 14 and 17. So the last 5 years, he's been in the top 15. Last 3, he's been in the top 10. He's somebody who's been playing pretty well recently at a decent waste management. 89 is not the price that you want to see Kevin Streelman at. But if we're okay with Cam Davis at 9,000, I'm definitely okay with Kevin Streelman at 89. I'm going to be playing a lot of him this week.
Yeah, Kevin Streelman crushes it here. Usually plays with Larry Fitz. I'm curious to see if he's going to miss his buddy, but it's a great pick. One of the guys I like just below him, Henrik Norlander at 8,700. This guy's just been on fire with his irons recently. His tee to green game has been great. 22nd waste management, 2nd at the Farmers, 12 at the Amex. He's played this event. Made the cut last year with a 25th finish. I just think his iron game has been great, and if he can get the putter rolling, that's awesome. POA is one of his better surfaces. His form is impeccable, so I like him.
Okay, I might. When I first saw the lineups come up, the numbers come up for this. I liked Henrik Norlander. I've been on him the last couple of weeks, and he has been hot. He's been top 20 the last 3 times out. He had T2 at the Farmers, but I'm looking at my short game model here, and he's 91st in the field overall recently. And I feel like with Norlander, he's been good recently, but before that, he had about 7 missed cuts in his last 8 tournaments. I don't know if we're going to get some regression right here out of Norlander, going back out to the West Coast. I mean, if this plays, it's a lot shorter than Torrey Pines, but it's a coastal Pacific course with the POA greens. Maybe you're going to get something like that out of him. I might be staying away from Henrik Norlander this week.
To be honest, when I've been generating lineups, because I've done a few since before we recorded this, I kind of just dodged most of the 8K range just because I was going high up with some of these 10 and 9K guys, and I jump right down to the 7. So I have been avoiding this area in general, but of all the guys in here, Norlander's my favorite. All right, Chris, who else you like in the 8K range here? I
like Cameron Tringali. Tringali's got back-to-back top 20s. He had a 3 at the RSM back in the fall. He's somebody that is gaining. He's had his best form of his career recently in the last 5 times out. He's gaining around the greens. He's gaining on approach better than he has his entire career, and he's gaining tee to green. So this is one of those courses where you want GIR guys, and I think that his recent form has put him in a position to be somebody who's going to be making a lot of birdies this week.
Yeah, I agree, and he's very hot with the putter, which is what you need around here. So I like that. If we're going to jump down to the bottom of the 8K, one of the guys I really like is Matthew Neesmith. This is where I kind of start jumping back into the pool of players after I skip the 8K. Neesmith's been playing great. He was, I believe, the first-round leader at the Waste Management. His approach game has been very good, 3rd in the field over the last 24 rounds. It's really 2nd because DJ's 1. I think he's going to stick a lot of these greens, and if he can get hot with his putter, he can compete. I mean, I'm playing the iron game here. POA is not his favorite surface, but can't always be with these guys. So I like him.
Okay, great. We can jump down to 7,000s now. Do we want to talk about James Hahn sitting there at 8,000?
You know, we've been playing James Hahn. I really like him, but for some reason I'm worried this week that that Sunday is going to weigh on him. It's just going to weigh on him, and he's just. I don't like guys that have kind of a meltdown Sunday, and he did. So
okay, so 7K range, we got guys at the top. Starting at 7,900, we got the Chris Kirk, Snedeker, Malnati, Knox, Varner, and 2 of those names that jump out to me right away as some big-time GIR guys. Somebody who started off last weekend very well is Russell Knox. I think I could be playing a little bit of him. He's in my model on short courses is number 1 in the field between 75 and 100 yards approaching, and number 3 in GIRs gained. So I feel like he's somebody that once he gets his drive out there close, if he's in the fairway, he's going to be sticking a lot of these greens. I like Russell Knox here, and I also like Harold Varner. Some of those stats that I just talked about, proximity inside of 100, as well as GIRs gained. He's 4th in proximity, 9th in GIRs gained, and crushes short par 4s. 350 to 400, he's 5th in the field. So Harold Varner and Russell Knox at 78 and 7,700 are my 2 plays in that range.
Awesome. I like those plays. Varner came T13 last week, very good with the irons. Guy I like, which is kind of going opposite to the iron play, is Peter Malnati. I love Peter Malnati this week. We've been kind of talking about him since the beginning of the year. He had a 14th at Sony, missed the cut at the Amex, but then came back with a strong 10th place finish at Farmers. I just think it's a guy whose putter is so good that it can be up there with the Spieths of the world when he's on fire. My model that I have this week, Peter Malnati, comes out 3rd. He's number 1 shots gained putting over the last 24 rounds in the field. On par 4s, 400 to 450, which there are more of those on this field than any other range, he is 2nd in the field, and 25th in 350 to 400 yard par 4s, which is another good one. So he's good on these shorter par 4s. He's good with the putter. I really like Malnati here. I bet him 80 to 1. I think he has a good chance of winning.
What do we make of Brandt Snedeker? 2-time winner here. He's playing the worst golf of his career, and his last 2 times out at AT&T, miscut. He's losing strokes in every area of his game, especially tee to green, which is one of his strengths. Hasn't been putting particularly well.
So, I mean, I played Sneds here last year in the one and done because of the course history, and he missed the cut, like you said, which was really disappointing. I hope he does well. I like Sneds, but
I do too.
It's just
he's an easy guy to root for.
Exactly, and I mean, this field is weak. He does have good course history, so I can see him making the cut, but I don't see him challenging for the win because he's just been so bad. So I'm going to stay away, but I'm cheering for you, Brant.
Okay, great. Next name that I have starred down here for going course history is Nick Taylor.
Yeah, hey, last year's winner. I don't blame you.
Champion coming in here at 7,600, and he's been playing very, very strong recently. He's 14th in my short game model. He is gaining on the field in pretty much every category that I used to filter this by: putting, proximity, strokes gained, ball striking, 3-putt avoidance, and short par fours. He's been playing well. He had an 11th at the Sony. He played decently, made the cut at the Amex. He missed the cut last week, different course style. But I could see me going back to Nick Taylor this week. I mean, he has a top 10, he has a 28th, and a first here in his last 4 trips to Pebble Beach. He plays it well.
He does play it well. As you were saying, I'm like, oh, yeah, let me look at this. He gained 21 strokes on the field. But when I'm looking at the rest of the things, it's 5 on putting, the rest are kind of middling. I'm guessing he's going to be missing that extra course this week. I feel like he's someone that might not play Pebble Beach itself very well. So, I mean, I'm intrigued to see where he finishes. It's not a bad play, but that number just kind of raised my eyebrow a little bit. So, who knows? Hey, guy won the tournament. Like, he if anyone can compete, it's a former winner. We've seen that here.
Okay. Who else do you like in this low to mid 7,000 range?
Do you want to talk about Doug Gim, or should I? I mean, I really like Doug Gim. He's just been playing very well. He pops in the short game and on the approach, like everything we want to do.
That's the name. That's the guy.
Who?
The guy that we were on. We were all over him for Sony, and he misses the cut. Next week he goes out at the Amex, 5th place.
5th. And it's one of those similar course style where you're changing courses the first 2 days before you go to the main course. He's been very hot. He came 5th at the Amex, 37th at the Farmers. He can get hot with the putter. I really like Doug Gim. Chris, who else you like?
In this range, I want to go a little bit further down. A guy that's got good recent form. He's been playing some of the best golf of his career recently. Gaining tee to green, gaining on approach, definitely gaining on the greens is Bo Hogg. Bo Hogg has 2 top 20s in his last 3 events, 36 last week at the Waste Management. He's been striking the ball very well. His only time at Pebble Beach, he missed the cut last year. But Bo Hogg is a guy that, his course profile, if he's gaining everywhere, I think he might be hot right now. Could play a little Bo Hogg.
Nice. From here, I'm going to kind of just do a quick little rapid fire. I don't have too much to say about these guys. These are just low guys that I kind of like in this range. Michael Thompson, just good recent form. I like Stuart Sink. I think this course just fits him really well. Austin Cook could be hot with the putter, and I just like Sam Ryder's approach.
I see a star right here from Mark Hubbard. Good recent form, first round leader last week.
I do like Hubbard as well.
Yeah.
I was trying not to overload it, but I do like Hubbard as well. He last week played well. I found out Mark Hubbard actually got engaged at Pebble Beach, or proposed at Pebble Beach.
He got proposed to?
He got proposed to, maybe. It was something that he proposed or got married here. So, I mean, he clearly likes the course, so that's not a bad play, and he's strong in the short game. So I think this might also be a good one. Anyone else you want to talk about down here? It gets pretty rough in the 6Ks.
It does. We have past winner Vaughn Taylor, who I could see myself playing a little bit. I mean, he was absolutely dominant that week on approach. I was sticking his greens when he won back in 2016. I could dabble that at 7,000. Another name that I like that's popping out to me is Brian Stewart. He's a good guy with the short approach game. He's 12th in proximity, 75 to 100. He's 6th in 100 to 125. So if he can get his GIRs, he can keep the ball in the fairway, which at these courses, traditionally, they stick fairways. They hit fairways at a higher clip than they do at any other course or to the tour average.
Yeah.
I could see Brian Stewart playing pretty well.
All right. Down to the 6K, there's not many guys I really have starred down here. I like CT Pan. He looked pretty well last week, and he's good with the approaches and the short game. It mitigates his off-the-tee nightmare. And another guy I've started here is your boy, podcast favorite, Chase Seifert.
I know. Coastal course for this guy again. He said Pete Dye and Nicklaus's play well. I mean, that's typically been his bread and butter, but I could see him doing well. Poa is far and away his best surface. He had the 12th at the Amex a couple of weeks ago. Historically here, he's only played it once, but he made the cut, finished 50th. When you're getting a guy in the 6K range, especially a fan of the podcast, he's playable.
He definitely is. The only other golfer I have down here that shockingly, he was popping up in my model, and I don't know why, is Josh Teeter at 6,600. He's played this event quite a few times. He has a fifth back in 2010, but he's decent course history. And if you're really just looking for a dart player and need to fill a lineup at 6,600, he's got a great little short game, and I think 6,600 isn't bad.
Okay. I got pinged by another golf podcast earlier in the week about backing Ted Potter Jr. Ugh, I know. Ted Potter Jr., he gained for the first time in his life at the Farmers 2 weeks ago. Finished 18th, and then they were saying, oh, he's going to be great. He's going to make the cut, which is kind of what you want out of a guy from this range. He's a past winner of this event, and when he won this event, he was gaining off the tee to green. Didn't do so well on approach, but hey, he putted above zero for one of the first times in his career. Maybe going back to the well, Ted Potter Jr., if you like Nick Taylor here, you like past winners, you think course history matters, you could do that.
Cheap guy to fill your lineup.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it for golfers, unless there's someone else you want to touch on.
I thought I had one more name down here. Nope. All right, cool. Let's get out of the sixes. Let's get into some of our picks for the week.
Let's make our picks for the week. All right, Chris, who do you have as your outright winner?
My outright winner, I guess I have to go back to the well here. I feel like I'm learning from some of my mistakes. It's okay to be a week early on some of these guys. I do like Daniel Berger still. I mean, I liked him to win last week. This is a weaker field. This course fits his golfer profile a little bit better. I think Daniel Berger. I'm going to go back to the well here. I like Daniel Berger outright.
Love it. Back-to-back weeks with the Berger man. Let's see if he can do it this week. I'm going to go with Big Willie Z, Zoltar himself. Will Zoltar.
This is going to be his week where he breaks through.
Yeah, I'm going to play the Fade Adams situation where he picked him last week and he didn't win, so he can win this week.
Okay, great. Now, as a top 10,
who thinks can come in the top 10?
My top 10 guy is going to be Kevin Streelman. I think his course history is too good. He is priced up a little higher than I like to see him, but as a guy who's 15th ranked money in the field, I think that he's going to overperform that, and I could see him compete in these top 10, maybe even top 5.
Nice, I like that. I'm going to go with Jason Day as my top 10 finish. I just think course history, I'm going to play it here. He's come top 5 in the last 4 years. It's just, he knows this course, and he's not going to lose strokes putting, so Jason Day.
Right. My sleeper is going to be Harold Varner. I talked about him a lot. I was torn between whether I wanted him or Knox in here, but Harold Varner paid off for me last week. He's somebody that gets streaky, and at 7,700, I feel like he's somebody that could overperform his price range.
Nice. I agree with that. I'm going to use Peter Malnati as my sleeper here. I bet him 80-1. I really think it's going to be perfect course for him. Let's go.
I think we're going to have the same guy in the next range, though. Our top 10 to fade, I am away from Jordan Spieth. I'll root for the guy. I want him to do well. I am not betting Jordan Spieth this week.
Interesting. That is not the guy I'm going to fade, although I understand why. Course history, it just scares me too much. I'm going to fade Siwoo Kim. We didn't even talk about Siwoo, and he's a very good coastal course guy, but I just don't think he's going to compete, and he's 7th in the field in the pricing. That's absurd. Siwoo Kim. His recent form is great, but a lot of that's predicated on his one win. So I'm going to fade Siwoo.
Okay. All right. I love it. I mean, we use the Amex as a course correlation for some of these guys when we're having the conversation. And he won the Amex 3 weeks ago. He's
missed a cut 3 out of 5 times here. It's just...
All right.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. 7K golfer, just talked about him. My sleeper pick is Varner, but if I was going to pivot and put a separate 7K golfer in there, I guess I'll go with the other guy that I had, which is Russell Knox. Way too good on approach, good recent form. I like Russell Knox. I'd be putting him into a lot of my lineups at 7K.
Nice. A guy that we didn't even talk about for me that I'm going to use as a 7K golfer is Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk has just had great form. He's second at the Sony, 16th at the Amex, but missed the cut at Waste Management and was mostly on approach. So that worries me, but his approach before the first 2 weeks was great. So at 7,900, I like Kirk.
Okay. And then down in the 6,000 range, I guess I'll go with our boy Chase Seifert. He's at 6,800. This is kind of his course that I think he could do well at, and it'll be good to root for him. Outside of him, I have a couple other names that we talked about already, but I guess if we're going to commit as a podcast to the Chase Seifert bandwagon, the Chase Seifert Express, let's go.
Well, I was going to do CT Pan because I really like CT Pan as my 6K golfer, but you know what? Fuck it. We're a Chase Seifert podcast. We're going to double down on Chase Seifert here. Let's see if he can do it for us. He's commented on both of our Twitters because we are really stroking
golfer interaction. Yeah.
So Chase Seifert for both of us. If not, maybe CT Pan. I'll just throw it out there. All right, that'll do it for our picks this week. Chris, one and done. What do you got?
Well, obviously can't go back to Berger on this one. I think I might stretch on this a little bit. I think we might go Streelman for the one and done.
Really?
Streelman or Molinari. I feel like Molinari might have to break through. His California guy. It's a weaker field. If he needs to get back into that winner's circle sometime soon, why not here?
I like Streelman, but I think Molinari might be the better one and done player. Just saying.
Okay.
I'm between two guys right now. I have Jason Day in there, but I'm really debating switching to Zalatoris. I like Molinari. I won't do Ricky, but Day's just course history. I think he might not win, but he'll get great money top 5. So I don't know. I'm between the two. For the purposes, I'll say Day.
Yeah, it's very slim pickings here at the top, too, because, I mean, with these one and dones, you don't have to pick outside of the top 30.
No.
And how many top 30 golfers do we have in this field? 4, 5, if that, right? So I feel like a lot
Day is 45th, I think. He's not even, like, that high.
No. Yeah, we have 4 golfers right now in the world rankings in the top 30. We have John DJ out now. We have 3. That's it.
So it's the top 3 guys: Berger, Cantley, and Casey, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we should take one of them. We can't take Berger. We took him last week. I'm saving Cantley. We already used Berger. Maybe Paul Casey. I mean, is it crazy? Like, he has great course history too. Stay to the top with your one and done. That's my suggestion.
All right. Yeah, I might have just talked myself into picking Cantley this week.
All right. Well, hey. Well, we never know. We were on Berger last week, and it bit us in the ass. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit better this week, and hopefully, we can hit 2 in a row on the outright bets. So,
yeah, let's go for it.
Check us out on Twitter. I'm at Matty Maitai. Chris is at Chris Picks Golf, and we will update our core lineups players for DraftKings, and we will update our final betting card. So, if there's any information that comes out between now and then, check us out there, and you'll find all of it.
All right, enjoy Pebble Beach. Fantastic views. It's going to be a beautiful course this weekend.
It's going to be lovely. Thank you for listening.